Hey guys, welcome to Pet Rambles. I'm Pet and today I'm going to ramble about the books that I've read in 2024. I am preparing a series of videos about the vinyl records that I bought in 2024, but I'm also preparing a video about the books that I want to read in 2025. That might be the next one. But anyway, let's see what books I've read in 2024. My target was 6 books, which I know it's not a lot, especially for a lot of people who read like 100 books per year. I get my stories from video games also and from other mediums, let's say. Reading is not my main thing. Also, in the past, I used to read mostly when I'm going to when I'm going to bed, and I'm usually tired, and I read like 10 pages, and that is it. So I don't have like a high overture of a lot of books that I read per year. I also like to read fantasy books, which are thick, and it's really taking me a lot of time to finish them. But this year has been a little bit special, a little bit different, mostly because I've read more than that, but I've also read a lot of manga and a lot of comic books. So Goodreads says that I've read around 30 something books, but again, a lot of them were comic books also. It's faster to go through them. I'm not sure if they count as things that, books you read, or if, I don't know. I don't care about that much, but yeah, let's see what I've read. I will start with the Farseer Trilogy by Robin Hobb, and that is basically Assassin's Apprentice, Royal Assassin, and Assassin's Quest. I did started those at the end of 2023, but I finished things at the beginning of 2024. I gave Assassin's Apprentice 4 stars, Royal Assassin 5 stars, and the last one, Assassin's Quest, 3.5, 4 stars, something like that. The Farseer Trilogy is basically in a faraway land. It's like in another universe, let's say. I mean, not universe as in space like in Star Wars, but it's in a fantasy land, let's put it like that. There is a guy named Fitz. He's a bastard. His father kind of dies. I mean, not kind of, he dies. And he's been taken to the royal court, and they are kind of like, they are still counting him as like, he's not official, he's a bastard, but they are kind of like embracing him into the family, and they are training him to be like an assassin for the family, to serve the king, right? And it's very interesting on how, this is not like a review, I should maybe think a bit more and try to make a deep dive into the series maybe, but I enjoy the way Robin Hobb is writing. I enjoy the grim aspects of it. It's a fantasy, but it's grim, it's not like high fantasy, like happy thoughts. Fitz has this wit ability, which is kind of like his ability to talk with dogs, but that's being very frowned upon on the way he's kind of trying to hide this. And also what's very, very interesting is that this region, those provinces are being attacked by some ships, and we don't know exactly things about them, but what they tend to do is they tend to take the people and they kind of zombify the people, and they get the people back on the shore, right? But those people don't have a soul anymore, and they are just attacking people, and they are just trying to survive, and they have this issue to deal with, among other things from inside, like someone is trying to get the crown and things like that. I don't want to spoil. I haven't prepared, like a deep dive why this book is cool, but maybe I'm going to entice you already to read it. It's a very cool book. There are a lot of books in this universe, right? There is part of my wish list to read next year. I mean, this year is 2025 already. Is to read the 3 books around the ships, and also the book about the Fool. There is a character called the Fool in Apprentice, and so Robin Hobb wrote a series about him, like 3 books. But he's a very peculiar and interesting character, and I would like to read more about Robin Hobb, basically. Anyway, then I would like to talk about Harry Potter. I'm 38 years old now. Last year I was 37, of course, and I finally decided to read Harry Potter. I met someone special, and she's into Harry Potter, and was like, okay, I'm going to try to read Harry Potter also, but also because when I visited London, I went to the Harry Potter shop, and I saw this very beautiful Harry Potter edition with illustration and drawings, and it was the actual book, but the whole book was with art and things like that. And I enjoy collecting books like this, art books and books that are not just paper. And I was like, this is an interesting way to experience the series. So I started by reading The Philosopher's Stones, and then I've read Chambers of Secrets, and then I've read Prisoner of Azkaban. And I was preparing to make a review about The Philosopher's Stones, the first book, and I've recorded it, but I wasn't happy how it turned out, and I was like, and then I procrastinated and I stopped thinking about this YouTube channel anyway. But basically I gave the books 3 stars, and then 4 stars and 4 stars. So the first book, it's not bad by any means, but it's so-so. It's a book about the Philosopher's Stone, but the Philosopher's Stone is only coming to like 60% of the book, and then everything it's finishing, and then these are the solutions to the problems that we had. Those are the puzzles have been elucidated now, and then hey, you win, and then it's done. So it wasn't that exciting, let's say. It was more about the world building around the whole thing, like how you go and they put the hat and how you decide in what. I have a lapsus now, but anyway, are you going to be Gryffindor or whatever? So yeah, it was more about world building and things like that. But then the Chamber of Secrets, I kind of forgot about it, what was in there. But Prisoner of Azkaban was much more interesting, and I'm curious to read the next books that are going to come out. But I'm going to wait for the Minalima edition of those books, so it's going to be some time. But in essence, they are very good books for children. They are very good books for adults. But as adults, I won't expect much. I wasn't expecting much. But it was one of those books that you read and you're going to have a good time because you don't expect bad things. Like, you don't read Robin Hobb. I mean, you are going to be entertained, but it's a different kind of entertainment versus when you read Harry Potter. Harry Potter is like, hey, I want to feel good, and you read Harry Potter, right? But anyway, at least those 3 books. I don't know about the rest. Then I want to talk briefly about The Martian, about Andy Weir. I forgot how his name is. I do have Project Hail Mary behind me. I enjoyed that book. Some people said that The Martian is better. I've read The Martian, is not better by far. I gave it 3 out of 5. I mostly bought the book because there was if you buy 2 books, the third one is free. So I bought a book that I've already read in the 10th grade, a book from the Metro series, but I didn't enjoy the first book, 2033. I bought 2034 Metro. I don't know why. And then I bought The Martian, which I was like which I already sold The Martian. I started to sell books out of my collection, books that I don't care about them that much. I was like, okay, I need to make room for new things. So I started to sell things, and I immediately sold The Martian. I didn't even sign it. I like to sign my books. 3 out of 5, I found that parts of his journal, when he's journaling what he's doing there, were a bit boring versus Project Hail Mary, which was, I have a problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution, right? This was a bit more, I don't know. And then I started to actually, okay, let me actually also see the movie. And then I started the movie and I was like, wait a second. And I checked IMDb and I was like, I already saw the movie. It was that forgettable. Even the movie, I gave it a 6. When I watched it like 2-3 years ago, I totally forgot when I watched the movie. I totally forgot about the movie. And even when I was reading the book, I was like, seems a little bit familiar. But anyway, then it was a very good book, very good favorites, top thing. I wanted to read something about Brandon Sanderson, and I wanted to start with another one, but then people suggested start with Mistborn, and I started with Mistborn, and I read Mistborn, The Final Empire. It's a 5 out of 5 book for me. It was thick. I've read it and I've listened to it at the same time. I'm trying a new thing where I'm listening to the audiobook and I'm reading at the same time to help me focus, and it's working really, really well. I'm enjoying this a lot. I will talk about this in another video maybe. But Mistborn has been very enjoyable because they have this thing where I'm a little bit intrigued about the universe, what's there. There wasn't that much universe building, so you weren't bored by details and things like that, but there was some universe building, right? There is this emperor who has been, people be saying that he's immortal, he's like 1,000 years old. They have this weird world, and they have a world that's a bit segregated between slaves and then the nobility. And there are basically those people who are trying to do this kind of, how to put it, to do a coup to to dethrone the emperor, and they are trying to do things. They are planning to do things. But what's interesting about this world is that there are those people called the Mistborns. They can use metals. They drink something that has metals, and they can burn metals from inside them, like copper. And if they do that, their hearing gets enhanced. Or if they burn this other type of metal, they do some other kind of powers. And I don't want to spoil. It's also not a review. So that was interesting on how they were preparing, and they were trying to train this young girl who she was a thief, and now she joined this crew, and she's also discovering herself on how it is to be part of a crew. And they were trying to put her to spy, to infiltrate into the nobility, so she had access to nobility. And it was interesting to see these different worlds, like the whole world as an environment, the universe, the whole world as how the slaves are living, and then how the nobility is living, and then to also finally have a conclusion. Like whenever I'm reading a book of a series, I'm expecting the first book, for example, or the second book, or whenever I'm finishing a book from a trilogy, let's say, I want the first book to feel like it has an ending, but then of course I want to read more about the universe, so I can start with the second book. And now the first book has finished, it's done, I have a conclusion to it, but I also want to read the second one, and then maybe the third one, right? So Mistborn has been very, very fantastic. Then I want to mention Warboss by Mike Brooks. I actually have the book here next to me, but I'm also going to give you like B-roll. I was in the mood to, I'm really in the mood, and not mood, but I miss reading books that are part of lore. Like I miss reading Star Wars, I miss reading World of Warcraft, but Star Wars has been crap since the latest movies, and I'm not playing World of Warcraft anymore. And I was a bit intrigued by this Warhammer universe. I know about Warhammer for years ago, and I also played video games, and I also always found orcs being very funny, and I'm an orc kind of guy. I also look a little bit like one, right? So I saw like what to read, and then people kind of recommended Warboss, and I was like, okay, Warboss, what's that? And I also started with the audiobook, and Harry Myers, I believe is his name, the voice acting that he did when he was playing the orcs and the other characters has been absolutely fantastic. I was totally immersed in the book, and the book itself is like incredibly funny. The only thing with the book, which is why I gave it a 4 out of 5, there are a bit too many characters maybe, and it was a bit hard to keep track of, and it's also not a thick book, so things are happening very fast, like you're thrown into action. But it was a very, very enjoyable book, and I am planning to maybe do a separate video about it, a bit of a longer video, a little bit of a deep dive. I'm not sure how to tackle that, mostly because I don't want to do reviews per se, I just want to give opinions. But if I am to give opinions, I also want to entice you to, hey, this is a book that you might enjoy. At the same time, in the video, maybe I want to go into details that will be spoiler ish, right? And it might be a video that you will watch after you've read the book and not before. I don't know. So I'm not sure how to approach this. So maybe if you're watching this, how should I approach this? Then I've read The Wager, A Tale of Shipwreck, Mutiny, and Murder. Part of what I'm trying to do, what I was trying to do last year, and what I'm also trying to do this year, is to read things a little bit out of my not comfort zone. Like The Wager is a history book about a ship that's getting shipwrecked, and then there is some mutiny, and there is also some murder there. It's like in the title. I enjoy history a lot, and I like to read about history, but I haven't read a lot about the Age of Exploration or pirates or ships and things like that. So I was like, I saw the book in a Goodreads top of 2023, I believe it was the best non-fiction book or something like that. I was like, I was drawn by the cover, and I was like, oh, interesting, let's add it to the list. And then when I did an Audible subscription, $1 per month for 3 months, and I also got like $20 credit, I was like, okay, I'm going to get the audiobook. And the audiobook was also very good narrated, and I also did this thing where I was reading the book and listening at the same time, and it was very, very immersive, especially how the storytelling was being told by the author of the book and also by the narration. Because when I started the book, I was like, is this fiction or is it non-fiction? It was like, oh shit, it's non-fiction. And I went to Wikipedia and I read a little bit. I didn't want it to be spoiled. I was like, this is for real. And then while I was listening to this and reading, I was like, there is no way this is real. And how did he find out? But at the end of the book is like a lot of sources where he read about those things, and the whole book is being told like a story, but it's actually history. It's for real. And generally, you know, when we are in school and we learn about histories, those random facts, things that you have to memorize, and this is why a lot of people don't enjoy history. But if you read things like this, like things how the wager has been written, is like you are going to enjoy this a lot. And I am thinking to make a special video about it, and I'm also thinking on buying the hardcover. I'm again, maybe a subject for another video, but because I'm trying to get rid of old books that I don't care about them, or maybe I didn't enjoy that much, I'm trying to sell them or then try to put them in another place of the house. I'm not sure where. I've been trying to think of the things that I'm going to purchase. And if I am to purchase, I want to buy, like I've read a wager, so I already spent money on it, but now I'm thinking like, do I want to spend 22 euros more to buy the hardcover just to have that book in my collection? Should I use those money to buy other things, or is it nice to collect hardcover books? I don't know. I'm very confused. I'm not sure what to do. I'm curious to hear your opinion. So 5 out of stars for the wager. Then I'm going to talk a bit about All System Red by Martha Wells. This is the Murderbot Diaries. I was like in the mood, let's see, read something science fiction. This was suggested. And then I saw that there is like 7 books in this universe, whatever. And the books are very short. Like this first book was 170 something pages. I was like, okay. The audiobook was also available for free on Audible. So I got it. I read it on Kindle. At the same time, the narration was good and the story was enjoyable. 4 stars out of 5. Mostly because I don't remember why exactly. I also plan to make a video about this maybe separately because I do have some opinions, but maybe after I read the second book or the third book and I make a video about all 3 of them or something like that. But to give you more insights about the book itself, it's in the future, science fiction. You have this kind of Murderbot, but it's kind of like a robot mixtured with human. Like he's a robot, but his parts are not robotic; they are more bionic. Like the robot itself can heal. And they have to do some kind of survey mission somewhere, and then some people die, and then this robot who has been gone rogue already, like he did something that he's more sentient, he's not under the corporation. He wants to protect the crew that has him, because whenever crews are doing things, they are legally obligated to also get one of those robots to protect them because of the corporation who are doing things. And then things happen, and the thing is, because the book is short, the book is not spending time to do deep dive into the lore, the universe. It's action immediately, so it was very enjoyable because of that. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about I Hate Fairyland. I was in November and December. I don't know what it was with me. Maybe I was depressed. I don't know. I spent a lot of money, and I spent a lot of money on books and comic books, and I was into like this spending mode. And I was looking to what to spend money on, and I noticed this beautiful drawing, this beautiful art piece, which was the cover for, I believe, volume number 6. And I was like, okay, this seems to be like a very interesting series, and I bought the first number. I've read it, I enjoy it deeply, and then I had to buy the rest. So I've read all 7 volumes from I Hate Fairyland, which is a colorful but very, very, very gore graphic novel, comic book, whatever you want to call it. About this 8-year-old, 9-year-old character, Gretchen, I forgot her name exactly, and she gets teleported into this fairyland, and if she wants to escape, she needs to find the key, but then she is doing things and she can't find the key, and she's kind of like stuck there, and she's basically starting to kill everything. And the first book was 5 out of 5. It was very enjoyable. It had like an arc that finished with the whole book. The second was 4 out of 5. I found it a bit less enjoyable. The third one was 5 out of 5. Was very good again. Fourth volume was 4 out of 5, and then 5th and 6th was 3. It was already starting to get so. And then the last one, which just came out last month in December, it was a 2 out of 5. It was like pointless. I'm not sure what was there. I'm not doing a review right now, I'm just mentioning, but again, this was the graphic novel. I do recommend the first 3 for sure, at least the first one if you want to start with something. I love the artwork, I love the coloring of the whole thing, and I love the stories, as I've said, but for the first 4 ones. Then I've also read Cuphead Volume 1, 2, and 3. Again, I got them. I know Cuphead from the video game, which I played a little bit. They've also done an animated series. The series is known for their old school animation style, you know, the video game. And the comic book itself cannot be animated because it's a comic book, it's still images, but I love the artwork and I decided to buy the 3 volumes themselves. They are like a 3 out of 5, let's say. It's something that you maybe give a kid to read. It's very short stories, and when I say very short, it's like 2 to 5 pages of things that happen with Cuphead and Mughead, or however they are called. So it's just something that you have maybe like a coffee table book that sometimes you read around. It's not bad, it's not stellar. It was fun to have around the house. Then I've also got, which I think it's here, Cyberpunk. The library, it has 3 volumes in this whole book, which in total I gave it 3 out of 5. It was so-so. The 3 stories were like 2 out of 5, 4 out of 5, and then 3 out of 5. The first one was really, really meh. The second story was a 4 out of 5. It was a classic revenge story. And then the third one had potential, but then they kind of failed with it. And I'm not going to go into details because maybe I should make a separate video. But anyway, Cyberpunk is from the video game Cyberpunk. When the game came out 4 years ago, it came out with problems, bugs. But they worked on the game a lot, and I actually played it last year. At the end of 2023 in December, I finished the game, replayed it. It's a very good game. This is why I actually got the comic book. I wanted to read some stories inside that universe because it is an interesting universe. The stories themselves were a bit maybe of a cash grab, a bit maybe, I don't know what to say. I'm still thinking if I should keep the book in my collection or try to sell it. I don't know. Then when I was in London in April, I randomly was walking around and I was like, ooh, comic book store. And I went in and I forgot the name of the comic book store, but I sent the picture to Simo, which I talked with her occasionally about comic books and things like that, and was like, are you there? And I was like, I don't know, let me check. And I was like, yeah, I was in that location. I forgot the name of that comic book store, but it was a store only with comic books. And I was like, I want to leave with something. And I left. It seems that I forgot to, oh no, it's there. And I left with the Incal and the Wolf by Adam de Souza. And the Wolf, I gave it 3 out of 5. I was planning on making a separate video about it. I wrote part of the script. And I still think that maybe I should do it. I give it a 3 out of 5. It depends where are you in life. If you are young, 20-something years old, it might be a 5 out of 5 because you are going to relate more with that person. I'm a little bit older and I'm not into this coming of age and child stuff like I don't want to do in my life. I don't want to do anything. Why do people have to work? They don't appeal to me. I'm like, what's your purpose on this planet? Are you going just to consume? What's your purpose there? And it's kind of like that. She's in high school and she's trying to find herself, right? So anyway, I love the art. I love the whole packaging of the book. The story was so for me, but as I've said, maybe I will do a book review separately. The Incal, 2 out of 5. Oh my God, I know. The Incal is one of those comic books where if you are to read online, it's 5 out of 5. You have must read and things like that, and people kept recommending it to me. And there are before Incal, after Incal, I don't know. And this is the first one, and I read it. I was like, it came in the 80s, so I give it that. So for the 80s. This might have been groundbreaking, but I've read it this last year in 2024, right? And like, what I was reading, I was like, this is a story that is like AI generated. It's like, it makes no sense. It's random stuff over random stuff over random stuff, and then more random stuff. And like, what's the deal? What's your spiel? What's your hook? What's there? And then I finished. I was annoyed. I was like, what the fuck did I read? It's AI generated, so it's like 2 out of 5. Don't go into the hype, don't go into that, or maybe you are going to enjoy it. I don't know. It's also not a review. The Department of Truth, I got again the pack. I bought this in 2023. I finally decided to read it last year. 3 out of 5. It's more about conspirations and how. If I forgot how they are saying it. The more you the more people believe it, the more true it is, even that if it's not true, something like that. And he's trying to tackle different conspirations about being on the moon or the JFK assassination and things like that. But I gave it a 3 out of 5 because while I was intrigued by what it's trying to do, it tried to do too much. And then at the end of the whole thing, it was like, okay, okay. I mean, it's still an ongoing series, so maybe it's going to get better, but this whole thing as a package was so-so. Then I've read The Lone Wolf and Cub Omnibus, the volume number 1. I've already purchased the volume number 2. This is a 4 out of 5, mostly because it's my first, I think it was my first manga, maybe. It was a 4 out of 5, mostly because each number, it's a omnibus, right? So there are, I don't know, 15 numbers there. Each one of them, there wasn't a big overall arc. Each was, you know, short story, short story, short story, short story. And sometimes, we know, when the short story was starting up, I was like, okay, let's see what happens here. And I was like spending a few pages confused, and then there was the conclusion, and it's done. I was like, okay, I spent most of the story confused, which is not mostly the fault of the book itself. It was maybe my fault for not being able to concentrate or something like that. But I've read it in the later numbers. There are going to be bigger arcs, but at the same time, I know people who like that it's a short, you know, short stories and so on. But for me, it was 4 out of 5. I already bought the second one. I'm preparing to read it, and I think it might be a series that I'm going to collect all of them. There are like 13, I think. But anyway, it was very enjoyable. And to tell you about what it is, it's basically in Edo series in Japan, 1600s, something like that. And he's this Ronin, who's a samurai who's not belonging to a house. And he's very good at being an assassin, and then he's trying to do things, and people are hiring him to do assassinations, and it's about that. But he also has a child, a toddler, like a 2 or 3 years old toddler, and I like it that the child is also participating at this, like he's using the child to survive. Basically, it's about that. And there were also a couple of numbers where he has this connection with the child, and that was also very interesting. Batman: The Killing Joke. I was in the mood to read something about Alan Moore. This comic book kept popping up. I was in the mood to buy things, and I bought it. It's $10. I'm never going to go get back because it was something that you read in 30 minutes. I'm not a comic book, a super heroes kind of guy. I'm not into Batman. I enjoy Watchmen because it's an anti superheroes. You can see it in the back here. I did enjoy the Joker movie from 2019. I almost didn't saw it because it was superheroes, but people told me it's not about superheroes. Just go and watch it. I enjoyed it. This is one of the reasons why I bought The Killing Joke, to see more about the Joker. And it was interesting to some degree, but it wasn't. I give it 4 out of 5, so that's not a bad rating. But I try to be a bit more smarter on how I'm spending my money, and I'm a little bit like, I could have read this online for free and then maybe buy it after. I'm trying to go more into that aspects because I will tell you in a second, because I've done other things. So then The First Cat in Space, and this is a series. There are 3 of them. One book actually came out last month, the last one. I gave them 5 out of 5, 4 out of 5, and then 4 out of 5 again. The first one, The First Cat in Space Ate Pizza, is really funny. It's more of a comic book for children. Like if you have a kid, you can give it to read, but it's also fun for adults because it's really funny on the way it's written. I also love the artwork. So yeah. Then I was in the mood to start a new comic book series, and I found out about Chew. Chew, it's about a guy that's a detective, and then if he eats something like meat, he can see on where that meat came from, and like he can literally see the images. So that makes him a very good detective because he can eat the cadaver of the people who died, and he can see who killed him and how he died. So it's very absurd. I enjoy these kind of things. And I bought the first number of the whole thing. It was kind of out of print. It's already getting out of print. I was like, let's buy the first number and read it. And if I like it, I'm going to buy the rest of the numbers. That was my philosophy. And I bought it. I enjoyed it. But then I was kind of like starting to look online. It's kind of expensive to buy all the 10 volumes, and then I saw that in March this year we might get an omnibus release, and I was like, I'm just going to buy that. And now I basically have the first volume, which is just the first volume that's sitting in my collection, and I'm like, I'm planning to buy the omnibus anyway. What am I going to do with this first volume? So I think I'm going to have to sell it. While I was reading about Chew, I also found out about Farmhand. And Farmhand, love the art style. The comic itself, it's 3 out of 5. Again, I've ordered it, I have it in my collection. I didn't enjoy it that much that I will continue with the series. Maybe the series will be good, but then I'm thinking like I should have read this online and only commit after and not buying the first one, because right now I have a first volume which I didn't enjoy that much, and I'm not sure that I'm going to enjoy the rest of the volumes. I do find the setting interesting, which is that there is this old guy, the father, the grandfather, right, and he's able to harvest body parts, and then those body parts can be sold to people to grow hands and things like that. So it's a bit interesting, weird, and it's a bit about that, but I didn't enjoy the way it was written that much. So yeah, I have to see. Then again, I was in the mood to buy things, and I was at Cărturești in my town, and I want to buy a manga, and I was recommended Goodbye Eri. It's not a bad comic book. It's a 3 out of 5. I know people who said that it's very good. It's not bad. I just wasn't that impressed by the twist of the whole thing, but it was okay, let's say. I kind of forgot to mention the way I'm rating things. I'm not the type of person that rates things like 1 star or 5 stars. I rarely give out 5 stars. Most things are 4 stars, let's say. Something that's 3 stars, it's something that's just decent. I'm trying to use the whole range of stars. And if you remember, before they changed on Goodreads, before they changed the page for the books, if you hover over the stars, you could see something like if it's 2 stars, it's okay. If it's 3 stars, they had like a rating like that. And I'm trying to rate things like that. So if something is 3 stars, it's not bad. It was okay, but it wasn't super, super fantastic. If it's 4 stars, I enjoyed it a lot, but I found parts of it confusing or maybe a little bit boring on some aspects. And then 5 stars, it's perfect, if that exists, right? Then I also was in the mood to read more manga, and I got PLUTO volume number 1, and I enjoy PLUTO volume number 1 a lot, 5 stars out of 5. And when I ordered, I had an Amazon order on December, I ordered volume 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, and I've also read volume 2 and volume 3. Volume 2 and volume 3, they are 4 stars out of 5. The first one, 5 out of 5, and I haven't read 4 and 5 yet. But yeah, it's basically in the future cyberpunkish a little bit, with robots that can be very much alike like humans. They are special robots. There have been some kind of wars where robots participated, and right now the world is in kind of like trying not to relieve the war. But the thing is that there is someone who's killing those very high advanced robots, and we don't know who. And those robots are very particular, very unique in the way, and it's more about them. And one of the robots, and who is also a pretty main character here, it's a detective, and he's very good because he's a robot. He remembers everything. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I don't know who and who's doing what, right? So this is why I'm into the series. Then in December, I also bought Detective Beans, a comic book for children, but it's absolutely adorable on the way it's being drawn, and the story itself is also very adorable, very funny. Not very, very, very funny. It's for children, but it was very enjoyable to read. This is why I got it. I don't know what rating to give for it. It's really, you know, like if for like the first Cat in Space, I gave it a rating. With this one, it's more for children than it's for adults on the whole setting. So you can give it a 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5. I don't know. I enjoy the artwork a lot. Then maybe Akira. I want to put it. I wanted to buy Akira, like the whole pack. I don't know why it's good that I haven't done it, because I've started to read Akira online. I've seen the anime 2 years ago, only 2 years ago, and the first volume that I've read is very similar to the anime itself, and I know that they've split it. They are not similar anymore. So I will continue to read it some more, and with the idea that hopefully it will become something else. But right now I've read it. It's very similar with what I've seen in the movie, and the movie was okay, but reading the manga, it's like I'm feeling like I'm reliving the same story again, but I'm not hating it and I'm not enjoying it, so I can't really rate it yet. Then I've read Frontier. I've seen this hardcover edition. I was like, I need to have this. Look how beautiful the artwork is. Like, I love the art style. I love something in space. I was in the mood to read something about from space, and I gave it a 4 out of 5. For a long time, it was a 5 out of 5, but at the end, things started to get too positive, and I'm like, the whole story is not that it's negative or very gore or hardcore, but it treats things more serious. But then because it ended in a positive sense, it's like, we need to finish things in a positive sense, and it kind of like everything started to go a bit too much into the positive. It's a bit hard to explain what I mean when I say this. I will think about it some more because it seems to be like a recurring thing with what I've said in this video, and I will analyze it, and I will mention it why I mean when things get a bit too positive, or what do I mean like when I say that. But I love the edition, I love the print, the paper quality, I love the art, and I love the story. But yeah, 4 out of 5. The Apothecary Diaries, I got the first 2 volumes. They are a present for someone. She noticed them and it was like, apothecary. I thought, okay, interesting. I was like, it's a manga, let's buy them for her, and I've read them myself. 4 out of 5. I did enjoy the story. It's about it's in a fictional China, so it's not the actual China. At the king's court, this person is being employed to be more of a food tester for poison, but she's an apothecary. She was trained like that, and then she's able to do things, and then she's be able to cure things because of that. And it's interesting, this relationship about the king and then the servants and then the court and then how she is doing things. And there is also an anime about it, and I've watched a couple of episodes. They are so far with what I've read in those first 2 numbers. I think I may be going to commit and buy some of the rest because it is enjoyable. And then I've also read The Witcher Volume 1. Love the packaging, let's say, but the stories themselves, I wasn't expecting much, mostly because, I enjoyed The Witcher as the video game, which I played all of them. I played Witcher 1 when it came out in 2007. I believe I played in 2009. I played Witcher 2 in 2011 when it came out, I believe. And then, of course, Witcher 3 has been amazing for me. I enjoyed the DLCs and so on. And because of that, I played other games and I bought the books, which are on the upper shelf. The books are so-so. The books are more like things happen, and that's it. I've watched the TV series. They ruined the casting. I'm not sure what's happening there. And when I bought this, it was mostly because I wanted to take advantage of an offer of the 50% off of the second book or something like that. So I just bought this because I didn't know what else to buy. I was like, okay, more Witcher. There are like 5 stories there, I believe, and they were so-so. Overall, it's like 3 out of 5. There wasn't anything that was below 3 stars, things that I didn't enjoy at all. And there was a couple of stories, 1 or 2, maybe there were 4 out of 5 stars. But again, don't expect too much. I wouldn't say it's a crash grab. I would just say that, hey, they decided to write some stories in the Witcher universe and they are just there. I've also found it interesting that when I was reading the dialogue that Gerald was doing, I was thinking like, is this how Gerald talks? Did any of you who read those comic books feel about that? Like, didn't feel like it was Gerald dialogue? Or maybe I haven't played the game in a long time, I haven't read the books in a long time, so I don't know, I kind of had like this feeling. And this is kind of it, I believe. This is what I've read. I think maybe, hopefully you found some interesting things that I've read, things that you might enjoy and so on. Hopefully, I don't know. I am preparing maybe to read right now the books that I am reading in 2025. I don't know. I have to see. Anyway, hopefully this was a video that you enjoyed. If it was a video you enjoyed, thumbs up. Write in the comments what are the books that you enjoyed the most of on 2024. If I am to give up a top, it's a bit hard. Mistborn was a book that I enjoyed. Frontier as comic books, PLUTO #1, the Farseer Trilogy, of course, Warboss by Mike Brooks. It was really funny. The Wager as a non-fiction book was nice, really nice. And The Lone Wolf on Cub was also very nice as a manga and as a series that I want to read some more. And then, you know, The First Cat in Space and I Hate the Fairyland was an interesting series to also have in the collection. So yeah, this is kind of it. Thank you guys for watching this. See you soon. Goodbye.